Hi, my name is Sarah Jacobowitz, and this is my project, Alternative Game Controller for Learning. I'm a student at NYU Steinhardt studying learning technology and experience design. With my project, I decided to study how an alternative game controller might affect learning outcomes. Right now, there is a lack of research on whether intentional input design can aid computer-based learning. In order to study this, I built an alternative game controller that models the content being learned in a moon phase simulation. I aim to design the inputs and interactions according to the learning mechanics and core mechanics of the moon phase simulation so that the interactions are more embodied and can translate into a more physical mental model construction. My process first started with ideation. After sketching, I then moved on to prototyping the gyroscope as the primary interaction and a P5JS simulation to test it out. I then made a 3D print and vacuum molded that in order to make a housing for the controller. However, this wasn't very ergonomic and it was hard to handle. The calibrations were off, so I decided on design 2. After my second ideation round, I soldered a teensy board as I was going to hook up a joystick to the HID on my teensy microcontroller. Here I'm breadboard prototyping, and then I integrate the joystick's HID into the computer. In this design, the joystick serves as a mouse to control the computer, as opposed to the other controllers where I connected them on the back end to the simulation. User testing showed that this version also wasn't very ergonomic, and users were having trouble controlling the joystick. So I went back to the drawing board, started coding some more, decided to do a rotary encoder that was integrated with a PBS simulation that I inspected and used the code I found online in order to create and locally host my own simulation, which I could then integrate the rotary encoder with. So the interaction model for this is pressing down on the button and holding it to switch between moon and earth, rotation of the earth and moon, and pause and play for the simulation. I then prototyped the 3D model and the controller housing using thermoplastic pellets. You just place them in hot water and it's very moldable. In this process, I've learned that it's okay to pivot. First few prototypes probably aren't going to be your best, so try things out and keep iterating and experimenting. The second thing is that things break. Always be prepared and have extra supplies. Try again. Lastly, it can be daunting when you keep thinking about how you might make something. So instead, just sit down and prototype, build. I intend to continue this project and keep prototyping with the materials for the form factor, eventually leading into the research. Thank you to the Makerspace for their generous funding, and you can keep following this project or other projects at my Github, which has the code, at my LinkedIn, my Instagram, or my website, sarahjacob.com. Thanks for watching.